All right, let's now shift our attention back to the situation that is unfolding in the Kashmir Valley, where there have been pretty quick, fast, late-night developments in the state. But before we get into the details, we should again reiterate to our viewers that we will only be reporting on facts and not on any of the speculations and various theories that are doing the rounds as to what the government is likely or is planning to do. But the fact of the matter is, the security has been beefed up. There is a curfew-like situation that has also been imposed, and what we are also given to understand is that the Prime Minister is to chair a cabinet meeting at 9:30, that is in just a few minutes from now. And to add more perspective as to what is happening in the state of Jammu and Kashmir, we are joined in by our senior political affairs editor Kartikeya Sharma from the newsroom. Good morning to you, Kartikeya. Now this indeed is a precarious and in some ways an unprecedented situation that is unfolding in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. There is a cabinet meeting that is to be chaired by the Prime Minister. What are we to expect?
I think it's a new situation which is unfolding in the valley of Kashmir. Please, we have to understand that, when we are talking about curfew or when we are talking about Section 144, none of that has been implemented in Ladakh region. So Ladakh, which is the bigger part of the state of Jammu and Kashmir, there is no Section 144. Now, secondly, there are a lot of talk about as to what may happen. We have to understand that there are certain issues related to the merger of Jammu and Kashmir, which have been part of the manifesto of Bharatiya Janata Party. Now, since the curfew has been put in place, additional forces are in valley, political leaders have been detained for some time, it is expected that some bold move may be undertaken by the government of India. Now, without getting into any guesswork of as to what the bold move may be, but the talk has been about a number of issues. The talk has been about maybe they want to inject new funds in creating a sort of a bifurcating the state into three parts. Again, that's a very old demand. It's not a new demand. Secondly, a lot of people have been talking about the dilution of 370, but let me take you back. The 1975 Sheikh Abdullah and Indira Gandhi Accord was about 370, and number of issues were sorted out and number of provisions were already diluted. So if you look at the exact status of 370 vis-a-vis the Indian Union, the original 370 does not hold forth. It's not in place, because the original 370 was only about defense, communication and foreign policy. But Kashmir actually works and acts like any other part of the state, apart from few of its particularity. And what are those particularities? A flag, the tenure of the assembly, some special powers which are vested in the assembly, and certain names which are there, so which are primarily ceremonial in nature. So in context of the powers of the state, Jammu and Kashmir does not behave radically different from any other state of this country. Secondly, in context of 35A, which has been part and parcel of the talk, we have to understand that the 35A was introduced in 1927 by Maharaja Hari Singh. At that point of time, it was Sadar-e-Riyasat, which means that it was a country in its own, which was part and parcel of the colonial empire of the British. And they had the dominion status, and ultimately they were sworn into allegiance whoever the monarch at that point of time was. Now, in context of that, a lot of people felt, who were part of the ruling elite, which were the Kashmiri Pandits and the Dogras, who were the rulers, that a lot of jobs will be taken away, since a lot of migration from Punjab has taken place, because Kashmir as a province was also part of the Sikh Empire for a long time. And the Dogras, in a treaty, had purchased, Kashmir is the only province in India which was actually purchased and not conquered during the British Empire. So it was actually purchased, when the colonial empire was in place in some parts of the subcontinent. So the purchase took place and the Dogras further consolidated it. Now, in that context, the article, which is 35A, continued. And then it was added through a legal action, which we call executive action, in 1952. So now what has happened is, it has become a bone of contention, because it deprives women of their right to land in Kashmir. They marry out, they lose it. Now, this can be seen from multiple angles. The opposition is saying that, if you have to do this 35A sort of a work, then it should have been done in Uttarakhand, some parts of Himachal Pradesh, 7 states of Northeast. But the issue in Kashmir has become different, because there is politics of Kashmiri exceptionalism. Now, that has acquired a lot of negative connotation in the Indian domestic mainstream. One. Secondly, we have to understand from the position of a party, 35A, 370 has been part of BJP's manifesto from 1980 onwards. So it's not an ad hoc demand, Saleh, that BJP is waking up in 2019 and saying that let's do it. So a lot of people are saying, why now? But you see, you have to understand that there is a process in place. And you know, if someone understands the Indian democratic process or the parliamentary democracy, the reason why the parliament was extended was not only because of the bills. The reason why the parliament was extended was because the government had already planned something important. One. Secondly, if Parliament wouldn't have been in place or motion, then the opposition parties would have demanded from the Treasury or the ruling party that you convene a special session of the Parliament. But since the Parliament is in session, the protocol would be, Saleh, that once the decision is taken by the Prime Minister of India through the Cabinet, both houses of Parliament will be informed. I expect that before the people are informed, the parliamentarians will be informed verbatim by the Prime Minister or by the Home Minister of this country. And I think this protocol will be followed today.
Absolutely indeed. But at this point of time, all of this is still in the realm of speculation because we do not know at this point of time whether it is indeed Article 370 or whether it is Article 35A that is being looked at very closely by the government. But what we do know at this point of time, Kartikeya, is that, you know, the local popular leadership within the state of Jammu and Kashmir has been put under house arrest. Would it not have been a little better or a little different if they had been taken along in terms of what the government is trying to do in the state of Jammu and Kashmir? You
know, you use the word Article 35A and 370. You know, I would like to say one thing, that there is a world of difference between Article 35A and Article 370. Article 35A was added post facto through an executive order into the Constitution of India. So Article 35A is a contested commodity because Article 35A came into being once the Constitution was in place. It was an addition in the Constitution. Now the Constitution was made by the Constituent Assembly of this country, which has lapsed. So that's where the particularity and the uniqueness of the Article 370 comes in. You know, what is Article 370? Article 370 is an instrument of accession, which means that through Article 370, Kashmir became part of India. But what makes Kashmir different as per the Article 370? It makes Kashmir different not in context of the limited right of the Union of India, but it makes it different because the Kashmir became part of India. It acceded to the Indian Union. It was not merged in the Indian Union. One. Secondly, the matter went to United Nations because Pakistanis were the aggressors. They sent tribal militia and regulars of the Pakistani army to fight. So Kargil is not new. It started in 1946-47 and under the full knowledge and guidance of Muhammad Ali Jinnah. And it happened there. That is why we have this line of control. So 370, in a way, is a very complex matter. The legal debate about 370 is, now since the Constituent Assembly has been dissolved, does the power of Constituent Assembly, one, stands with or resides with the Parliament of India, one? Secondly, if 370 as a structure has to go, how should it be dealt with? One, should it be rooted through Supreme Court of India? Because now you have the maximum of the basic structure of the Constitution. Is 370 part of that basic structure of the Constitution too? These are the questions I am asking. Three, as per the technical procedures, if removal of 370 means that the Assembly of Jammu and Kashmir has to be alive and they also have to pass the motion that 370 has to be abrogated. So these are legal issues. So 35A has to be seen from a completely different light. 35A is nowhere near 370. So, you know, we have to understand that 35A can be removed with an executive decision and it will be fully legal. There will be no legal consequences. 370 is on something which Sheikh Abdullah Court has to be studied in detail, and since the matter is also pending in Supreme Court, those are legal nuances. But the government is capable of dealing with that. All right,
Kartikeya, do continue to stay on with us. This, of course, is the big developing story of the day. We'll continue tracking as to what is, in fact, unfolding in the state of Jammu and Kashmir, and also that crucial cabinet meeting that is to take place in just a few minutes' time from now. But for the time being, we'll slip into a short break. More news and updates will continue on the other side. Stay tuned to WION.